Okay, my couture crafters, I think this is video number 4. Have a terrific holiday season. This is based on a card that I've been doing for a while, but it's time to do a holiday version of it. I'm showing you guys how to take off your items off your Cricut mat without having them curl. Flip it over upside down, right side facing the table, and peel it like that, and you don't have to worry about your paper curling. Just a quick tip. So I've cut these out on my Cricut. Of course, the link, I will share it to this file. I've done this before. This is not new. I am using a embossing folder with some vines on it. Use whatever you have. It's not that serious, but you just want to add some texture to some pieces of the teapot, like the top and the bottom and the sides. At least I do. And now I'm going to run it through my Gemini, which I don't do on screen because that little thing is big. And I'm really crafting in a tiny little spot. But it's right next to me. And so I make up my little sandwich and then I bring it back. And now, what magic? It's now embossed. Look at that. It's pretty. So I'm going to do it again. And I'm not putting it in there in any kind of special way. I'm just trying to get some texture on this cardstock. And this is that super thin gold cardstock that Michaels has around the holiday time. I don't love it because it's so thin, but it's nice to have an all gold stack. They also do it in red and silver. The silver isn't like super mirrored either, which I kind of like. I almost bought some yesterday, but I didn't because I don't have a true reason for it yet. Purchasing with purpose. So now I'm going to look at what colors I want to choose for my teapot. I knew that I wanted traditional colors on this teapot, so I'm looking at those reds over there. This is my color swatch chart that I made earlier this year, and I decided to use those two colors there, Heartbeat and Vineyard. So there you go. You can see them better when I angle it. You don't get that glare. Now I'm like, I need to do some greens for the leaves. And I think I chose 3 greens. Shadow Creek, Just Green, and I forget the name of the other one. I forgot it, but it's on there. You can pause it if you want to go back. These are all inks by Altenew. You guys know I love me some Altenew. So I'm using their holiday bow set that came out, I think it came out last year, and it's still available. One of my favorite holiday sets. I like the bow. And apparently I like the poinsettia. I didn't use this one last year, that flower, so, or plant. Is a point? No, it's a flower. Now I'm prepping the stamp with just a regular white eraser. What I do is just go all over it until you see it's no longer shiny. It'll be matte. You want to leave that on there. Don't dust it off. So you see how it's shiny and then I'm making it matte. You go all over the stamp, leaving that matte residue on there, and then you'll get a really nice impression with your stamps. The ink likes to cling to it. It won't bead up, and then you have that weird, ugly impression. So here I'm using copy paper. My copy paper is kind of luxurious in the sense that it's not that regular 18 pound. I think mine is like 20 or 28. So it's a thicker copy paper, but it's still a copy paper. And I'm doing this for the liner of the envelope. I am basically making a piece of pattern paper. I am. There's no doubt about it. Something I like to do, especially if I'm in the mood to really stamp, because a lot of stamping has just taken place. And so I just stamped all over there. No rhyme, no reason. I'm just trying to get into the blank spots so that I have a good spot where I can cut the pattern paper out. This is a 2-layer stamp. It's not a 3-layer. You really want to, depending upon how much stamping you want to do, you don't want to choose one with too many layers because it's going to take you a while. And then I just go over it. Now, you know that I have to get on top so that I can see through it so that I get the stuff lined up. So I just cut that out. So there you go. I stamped the second layer all over that copy paper. Now I need to see, well, now I need to put it on the teapot base. So I'm going to use some removable adhesive on the back. I got that removable adhesive from Hobby Lobby, and I like it. Do not use the Tombow removable adhesive. It does not work, but this one does. I'm always on the hunt for a good removable adhesive. So now I just tacked it down to another sheet of copy paper that is going in the trash. It's just simply so that I don't start stamping all over my work surface. And I just pick where I want this flower. This flower is large. I wish that this set was just a little bit smaller, but it's not. So, oh well. And I'm just going all over trying to get that same pattern down. Another reason why I like to leave it on this paper is so that when I line it up, I can kind of see the entire flower, kind of, to some degree, because it's very difficult to stamp over something that's been taped down. You can't get the full impression, but you get the gist of it. And for whatever reason, I'm making two of these. I think it's because I was testing out that pen on my Cricut, and so I have like a darker one and a lighter one, a more bold one. I use the pen to write that sentiment with the Cricut. I like it because I certainly couldn't have written it. I could have done the print to cut feature, but I didn't want to. I wanted it pinned, so I put the pen in the Cricut and let it do my work for me. So again, we're just stamping all around the base of this card. No rhyme or reason, just trying to get it in there. And I think I did four, I think I stamped 4 times. At first, I wanted the green and the red to kind of be equally on there, but because of the size of the stamp set and I couldn't find any other holly that I was, I just, eh. So it came out to be a little more red than I was wanting, but that's okay. It's all right. We're just going to go with it. So now we need to do the last stamp on the one at the top. And I'm using the same colors that I did so that it's all coordinating. And there we go. What am I doing? Oh, I'm stamping off. Make sure you stamp off the sides. It gives it just a more pleasing to the eye look. So now we've got to go over with the second layer. And this was actually very easy to line up. I thought it was going to be a pain in the patootie, but it wasn't. So now you can see the depth that has. Nice and easy. No worries. So now I'm going back to the copy paper that we're going to use for the liner. And I need to fill in those gaps with some green. So I was kind of picking which green I wanted. I'm prepping my little stamp here. Oh, I'm prepping the center. This is the center of the poinsettia. Not too difficult to line up. It does not line up perfectly. It leaves some white highlight for some dimension. And I go through and do the centers of all of those and the teapot bottom. Shadow Creek is the darker color that I pulled out. So these leaves come in the set, and they were a pretty good size to just put in the center of these flowers. So I've got my red and my green, my traditional holiday colors. And so I just go all over it, just filling it in, no rhyme or reason. Now, I needed some green for the stamp, but I was having the worst, for the teapot, I was having the worst time getting a decent image. So I tried Versaclear, I've tried my Altenew inks. I think I even tried my Catherine Pooler's, but I was using a very, very, very cheap stamp from Michael's, and it just was a no-go. So I grabbed this set from Craft, this little peg wood stamp from Crafter's Companion, which is rubber. And rubber will usually grab ink better than clear polymer or anything. So I grabbed that with my Altenew ink, and I think it came up okay. So now I'm cleaning off my stamp set, and I use Versa Fine Clear ink for this apparently. And I'm just filling in the gaps. All the gaps of the teapot. Little here, little there. And it's a little guy. I wish it was a little bit larger, but no worries. It gives me the green that I needed. And then I'm just wiping it off with my baby wipes. I did the same technique with the top of the card that comes in and out. So you just throw a little tape on the back, stamp through, same thing. Solid stamp first. I'm surprised I showed this. I could have actually cut all this out for you guys. You guys will be spending a little more time with me than I anticipated. But for the person who's really trying to do this, you'll get a chance to see. So the same thing. Now I'm grabbing some string, which is really just some floss that I had around for my last project, and pulling that through those little holes. I wish I had made that hole just a little bit bigger, but you can feed it through. And then I just tape with some regular tape on the back. So I'm going to pull it through because, again, we're making 2 cards. And just pull the floss through and then tape it on the back. And that's the little sign that tells you to pull the card up so that you know that if you take the top off, the card is inside, the sentiment's inside. So now we're going to rub the removable adhesive off the back, and let's glue down some of these parts. So I'm using my art glitter glue, my favorite glue, and I glue down the handle and then the spout, and you can glue these down fully. The whole shibata goes down. Perfect. You will not see that. Then we're going to glue down the bottom part all the way down. No problem. That's the easy part. Now we're going to glue the top over that pretty stamp that we've done, and it goes directly on top of the paper. Now we're just looking to see if it fits. And in theory, it's supposed to fit. Does it fit? No, I had to trim it down, but no worries there. So now we're just going to glue the sides and the very, very, very bottom. So the outside and then the very, very bottom. Leave a little bit of space at the top, just a touch of space, so that you can get your card in there. And then just press it down. Same thing on this side. See how I started just a little bit further down? Just a little bit down. Not all the way to the top, because you want your card to be able to fit in there. And it's got that curve. So now we're going to slide it in there and just wiggle it around. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. If you have a bone folder, that's great. I grabbed a letter opener and I just went ahead and smoothed it all around and made sure that it was open as much as it could be. And then I playing with it up and down, in and out, just to make sure that it's not hitting any resistance. I realized that I needed to trim the bottom just a touch, just a hair. I took about a little less than 1/4 of an inch off the bottom to make sure that the top went all the way in. So you can see right here, I'm just chopping it off. There you go. And then it slides down perfectly. Boop. Did the same thing with the other one. So now we're going to take our little pull top up sign, and we're going to cut down a piece of tape and just tape it onto that gold top. Nobody will be able to see it. And then you're going to trim off the excess ribbon or string. Now you're going to line that top while it's in the teapot. Make sure that it's in the teapot, and you're just going to line it. This is going to help stop it from going all the way in. Well, the outside does that too, and it also just gives some dimension. Line it all the way from one side to the other side. I should have put maybe 1, maybe 2 more foam adhesives. I like these black ones because they really kind of camouflage behind. But it needs support because this cardstock is so thin. It needs some support behind there. So put as many as you can, or just put a piece of foam tape back there. And there you go. Looky, looky. Let's do an envelope. 123 punch board, of course. Christina Warner just talked about having it. Christina, I've already done that video. Anyway, 123 punch board. Make sure you're cutting off the label there on the side. So you go ahead and square this off, whatever the size card calls for. This card, I believe, measures 5 by 7 or 4.5 by 7. I made the card to the envelope much larger than it needed to be. I just I don't know why I do that. Just to be sure. Sometimes I get it too small, sometimes I get it too big. The measurements are right there, but remember the 123 punch board always makes a slightly oversized envelope. So if you're doing oversized, it's going to be oversized. But if you wanted to put some tea or something in here, this envelope would have been fine for that. So I decided just to grab the second layer of the poinsettia stamp, and I didn't love how it looked, but whatever. It's okay. No worries. The liner is the cool part about this envelope anyway. This is the second piece of cardstock. This is just some Martha Stewart cardstock I had around that you get open stock. I just buy random cardstock for projects, and then when I don't do the project, I have the cardstock left over, and then it ends up going to something like this, so oh well. So I fold over and crease everything with a bone folder. Now we're going to measure from the top to the middle of where my finger is right there. You want the middle of that area right there. Not all the way to the end, but the middle. So we got 5 3/4. We are going to go and subtract 1/4. And that's going to leave us at 5.5. So you see, it goes all the way down to 5 3/4, and we're going to take 5.5. So you're going to need a 5.5 square for the liner for this card. Lucky for me, I'm using an 11-inch sheet of paper, so I can do 2. So we're just going to cut it at 5.5. And then we're going to square it 5.5. Perfect. You can use those, toss them, whatever. We won't be using them for this. Now here's the fun part. You are going to round your corner, and that's going to be your top. Now you're going to take it and you're going to put it on 5.5, and you're going to punch. Then you're going to flip it over 5.5 and punch. You want the punch sides to be opposite of one another. Put it at 5.5, punch. See, flip it over so that it's diagonal, and then punch it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I have another video that explains making an envelope liner in depth, and that's a pretty red and green card too. So if you see a red and green card on my channel, that is the punch board. I drew a line so that you can see. Stay above that line. Now you're just going to line up where you want your envelope liner to be. That's pretty right there. Trying to leave about a 1/4-inch border around. Fold it. Do not glue the bottom part down. You need that part to be able to wiggle. Now we're going to close up our envelope. I'm just using some double-sided tape, Stacy tape from Scrapbooking Made Simple. Love her double-sided tape. And there you have it. An envelope liner. So pretty. Now we're going to take some pictures and seal this puppy up. I could have made that a smaller envelope, but I didn't. So moving on. I'm grabbing some wax hearts. I don't know why there were so many green hearts in this, but that's okay because it's the holiday season. I'm going to use as many green hearts as I can in that little sampler pack. So we're heating up our wax, pouring it on there as usual, and just dropping our seal on there, and we'll let it rest for a few moments. And this is a tiny seal. This is one of the ones that come from Hobby Lobby, and it says Merry Christmas. And I think I did another seal, which are tiny, which means they're probably not even an inch. They're probably, yeah, I think they are an inch. I prefer my seals to be ginormous, but on this occasion, it was a smaller seal. So it's smaller. And then we're using the Christmas tree. And that's it. Thank you guys for joining me.